on August 1st, 2014, on the campus of the Cary Chamber of Commerce. Cary Rotarians, the business community, elected officials, and Rotarian dignitaries attended the dedication of a tribute to 50 years of Rotary service in Cary, North Carolina. The statue or tribute now resides on the Chamber campus, a symbol of dedication and pride in the work Rotarians have accomplished over the past 50 years. It also stands as a commitment by Cary Rotarians to continue their efforts to help others. The statue is surrounded by a field of bricks purchased by Rotarians and others dedicated to the Rotary cause. The profit from the sale of the bricks goes to the creation of joint projects in which all the Cary clubs will participate. Projects that will have strength in numbers to help those in need. Over the next few minutes, please join Cary Rotarians as they share their 50-year history, their passion for service above self, their desire to help others just because it's the right thing to do, their creativity as they strive to find solutions to major challenges locally and around the world, all while having a grand time in the fellowship they share with each other.
But there was a guy by the name of Jim Purser who was my boss at Cameron Brown, and he went someplace every Tuesday. He would get his coat on, go out the door, but he was such a good guy. Matter of fact, he just passed away a couple of weeks ago. But he was a Rotarian, a real Rotarian. I didn't know what Rotary was. I didn't know what Rotarians were. Because I never heard about them in Gastonia where I was raised, but I never heard about Rotary Club and this kind of thing. But so I finally one day I saw how nice a guy he was and how faithful he was to whatever he went to. And I said, Jim, what do you do on Tuesday? I mean, you leave here and you're He said, I go to my Rotary Club. I said, what is Rotary? Then he told me what Rotary was and what their goals were and what they did and this kind of thing, and it just impressed me a lot. So when I came to Cary, I thought to myself, I said, Cary needs something like that, where men get together, chat, do business with each other, and that's what Rotary was back in the old days. I'll do business with you, you do business with me, and we'll be happy, whatever. And so finally I started the Rotary Club. And I started meaning I got the idea, went through it, and I'd say, John, how about you? Would you like to join the Rotary Club? He said, what's that? I said, well, so men get together once a week and do business with each other.
I was in the JCs. I was in Cary's first JCs. And Dick Ladd came to me one day and said, Jerry, we're thinking about starting a Rotary Club in Cary. Would you be interested in it? I said, yeah, I think so. I'm getting her to age out of the JCs. I said, yeah, I would be interested. So he said, well, I'm putting you down and we're going to get enough of us to charter the Rotary Club. So with that on mind, I got in with the charter.
In 1964, Cary was a very much different place than we have today. No hospital, no library, no YMCA, no chamber building, which had been established 2 years previously, and we were meeting at that point in Jim Adcock's office, and no Town of Cary complex. There was a small building up here on on Chatham Street, and Mayor, Mayor Ed Davis was the mayor, and then we had no town manager. The mayor and the council people ran the town, and they had one clerk, Annie Jones, and she kind of kept the town going. So it was a very much of a different place. So when Dick came over and asked and to tell me that the West Raleigh Rotary Club had contacted him and said, let's talk about establishing a Rotary Club in Cary, I thought, now that is quite a daunting feat, because all you saw in Cary is what you see right today on Main Street. And there is the necessary, we had to get 25 men to agree to meet once a week, have a program, and come up with some civic community projects. And I told Dick, I said, Dick, I don't know whether we climb that mountain, but we're going to give it a try. So we met at Rogers Restaurant. Barbara and Billy Rogers had a nice room down there, and we started with a handful of people. Each week, we started with a few more people. And so it took us a year to get 25 people so we could charter our Cary Rotary Club.
We have 100 members in our club today. And our motto is service above self, as we serve Cary as well as communities around the world. And we serve in many ways. We're business leaders. We serve in the government, schools, coaches, churches, and volunteering many hours to nonprofits. And there's just too many other areas to mention. We here today, we are so blessed. We are not concerned about where our next meal comes from. Ralph talked about Stop Hunger Now. We're not really concerned if we get polio. We're not really concerned about where we'll sleep at night. But millions of other people are concerned about their next meal, where they're going to sleep, or about getting a disease. And Rotary is the secret sauce to help others less fortunate by sharing of our time, our talent, and our treasure. And you never know that meal that we provided that young child saved that child's life, or provided nourishment to a future leader, or the support of the Boys and Girls Home, provided inspiration to a future doctor or business leader. There are so many examples of how our clubs in Rotary help others around the world.
It's fun to be in a club with some of those founding members, folks like Dick Ladd and the Ashworths, and to see just what leaders they've been in the community here in Cary for so many years now. The fact that they're still involved means a whole lot to our club because they lead a lot of our efforts and provide support to others. So it's just been great to get to know them and to see firsthand the leadership that they've shown. But they've also, I think, really, through creating our club and spinning off others, they've continued to engage new leaders in the community. And what I appreciate about Rotary is that we continue to engage new people in the community in our club. We're not a stated club by any means. There's a lot of projects that we have going on, lots of opportunities to serve, and we're constantly reaching out in the community to get others involved. And so I think because of that, our club is pretty dynamic, and we're able to engage more people.
And Rotary, just the actual meetings, it's just a great relief. I mean, I come to Rotary meeting because I know there's no agenda, because I know there's nothing pressure. It's friendship, it's fellowship, and it's a lot of fun to hang out with the folks you hang out with.
Right. So the experience we've had, the people we've been able to meet, the ability to do some things that we couldn't possibly do on our own, all of that stuff. So I guess the neatest thing I'd say, thanks, Cary Rotary, for what you've allowed me to have and what you've allowed me to do.
Good morning. My name's Joe Gilm. I'm the past president of Cary Central Rotary Club, and I'm honored to be representing Cary Central Rotary Club, which is the first sibling of the Cary Rotary Club. We've been here for 32 years, so we're pretty much all grown up as well. We were chartered on May 31st, 1981. Started with 25 members, and we still have 3 charter members. A couple of them, I believe, are here. Don Cooper, Millard Hardy, and John Long are 3 of our charter members. They've been here for 25 years. Congratulations, guys. Quickly, I'll mention at Cary Central's first meeting, we're also at Rogers Restaurants, where all you power players used to meet. And we were there for quite a while until they, I guess, folded the place. And we're happy to be back in downtown Cary. We now meet at the Matthews House. We have 7 o'clock breakfast on Monday mornings. We love to have guests join us, and it is just a wonderful way to start the week. It's a kind of a fun, exciting way to kick off Monday mornings, and Mondays aren't ugly at all anymore. Cary Central is proud of 126 Paul Harris Fellows, 23 benefactors, 2 Paul Harris Society members. Our club has had 4 district governors, 2 of which are still active in our club. Steve Denning is one, and Russell Duncan is the other. Well, we appreciate you guys. I'm glad you stayed here with us. All Rotarians in Cary can certainly share in the pride of this significant anniversary and the accomplishments of Cary in downtown Cary, the Rotary Club, and thanks for getting us started, guys. Thank you.
John Hatcher came to me from the Cary Club and invited me to Rotary since they were starting up a new club. It was Cary Central Rotary Club, and I was honored to be asked by John, and I have been honored to be a Rotarian ever since. Rotary has meant an awful lot to me because I was just a small merchant and didn't get out a whole lot as far as doing really what was going on around town and what was going on in a lot of different people's vocations. So Rotary has just meant an awful lot to me through the years. It still does.
Cary Central Rotary Club is very unique in a lot of different ways. One in particular is that we meet at 7 o'clock on Monday mornings, 7 a.m. on Monday mornings, and in asking folks to come and present, they always kind of get a raised eyebrow about that, but I think it just shows that we are up and ready to go at the beginning of the week. Our club is very active. The club makeup, we are seeing some new members come into our club. It's been there since 1983. I was not a charter member, but joined shortly thereafter. But the interesting thing about our club is the activity level and the camaraderie and the fellowship among the people in the club. My best friends are in Cary Central Rotary Club, and I see them every week, and we maintain a high level of attendance because we feel like it's important to be there. You can't really participate if you're not involved in the club. We support the Boys and Girls Home, we support the foundation, we support numerous things throughout the district, and it gives you a good feeling knowing that you're helping somebody else. We believe in service above self. It may be overused, but in our club it is the key to the success we have. It also helps our membership to feel good about themselves. I was introduced to Rotary actually when I taught school in Harnett County. Our superintendent was a Rotarian, and also the person who lived in the apartment near me, who became one of my good friends, was a Rotarian. He invited me to attend the Lillington Rotary Club. That was back in 1971, and I joined the Rotary back at that particular point. Very active club, small club, probably less than 15 or 20 members at Lillington, but it's still active and a good place to start Rotary.
It was the second club. It was a morning club. And being in the IT business, as much as you try to schedule your calendar, you're pretty much a firefighter. So you go when the phone rings, and 7 o'clock on Monday morning was generally a quiet time. Nothing had begun happening yet, so it was easy to commit to that. A Monday morning club was easy. It was easy to join. I knew most of the folks in there, even though they were my mom and dad's age, and I knew them as Mr. So-and-so, like Mr. Duke or Mr. Rich or Dr. Caldwell or whomever. And one of the first things I had to overcome was calling them by their first name, because they wouldn't have it any other way. And I think that speaks volumes about how comfortable a person is with themselves, and the fact that they don't want anything between the two of you as you try to develop a relationship, especially in a club like that. But it's all about fellowship. My club has won the attendance award for the district most every year. But that's not really what it's about. But if you come and you have the fellowship, you'll keep coming. And then when the sign-up sheet goes around or someone's trying to promote a project, you'll sign up because you'll be willing to work with John or Jim or Bill or whoever. But I think that the town has been an influence on Rotary as much as Rotary's been an influence on the town, because we have so much diversity. And the clubs have that diversity. They show it now. 20 years ago, well, maybe 30 years ago, you could have easily seen Rotary as a white American male club. So it's nothing like that now. Whether it's a particular club that has greater diversity in terms of women, or a club that has more diversity in terms of nationalities, you see so much. You see that in Cary, and you certainly see it reflected in the clubs. Would any particular project that we have rendered been done perhaps by someone else if we hadn't done it? Certainly possible. But I like the footprint Rotary's had around town in terms of business and ethics. One of the things that my club does well is we like multi-club projects and leading those charges. The Cary Club set an example with the clock, and they went to the other clubs and said, would you like to participate in the clock, and we're going to put this clock downtown Cary? And we were like, absolutely, we'll do that. So when former Mayor Coke Booth learned that the town wanted to build another shelter, he went to his club, and they thought it was too big a project. So he came to me, because we had worked on a lot of different things together that often were uphill battles, and wanted to know what I thought. So I went and met with my club's board, and we devised a plan that I would go to each of the 5 clubs and share with them why we thought this was such a doable project and something that Rotary ought to have its stamp on. And ultimately, we got all 5 clubs, and we presented a check to the town council, and then the shelter out there at Ritter Park was built.
But for us, Rotary is service, but Rotary is fun. It is exciting to watch 42 Rotarians with different backgrounds, different educations, different industries, different vocations come together every Thursday night at 6:15 at McGregor Country Club. We come together and we talk about our community. We talk about service projects local and service projects around the world. At the Cary Kildare Rotary Club, we are celebrating our 30th anniversary this year. We have taken a look back at the 50 years of Rotary and Cary and the service and the projects we have provided. We are planning to use this celebration and this monument and the projects that come from this as a way to inspire our current Rotarians as well as future members to our club. We want them to think about projects that can work as a large projects for Cary that can work together and inspire. We are excited about the beginning of the Memory Cafe. It's going to start in a few weeks. That's the first project that's coming as a result of this 50th anniversary. Again, for us, Rotary is about service, but it's also about fun. Thank you and congratulations.
The people are just amazing. Rotary has become like my extended family. I never go in there with a need, whether it's personal or for my job, that somebody doesn't say, I can help you with that. And it just works. It's just amazing what a great group of people they are. And I work for a nonprofit at Life Experiences and feel like I do a lot of giving back to the community through my agency, but I've learned so much about the other agencies and programs and good things there are to do in the community, and have loved getting involved in that.
So my story kind of goes back to my early teen years. I received a Rotary scholarship from a Rotary Club in Greenville, North Carolina. And that helped me go to East Carolina University. And so Rotary was always kind of on my mind. I grew up with a family that was very dedicated to service. My parents were Girl Scout leaders, and so doing volunteer work and service work was always kind of part of my life. After college, moved to Cary, and a good friend of our family and a client of our CPA firm for years, Scott Rossi, invited me to Rotary. I went to one meeting and I was hooked.
Past District Governor Charlie Hatch invited me to join the Cary Kildare Rotary Club over a number of years, and I kept putting it off, and Charlie was persistent, and I'm glad he was. I've been a member of the club for 11 years, and I wish I had been a member since the first time he asked me. The ability to give back, I mean, you can give back a little bit as an individual, but as part of a Rotary Club or the Rotary Foundation, your giving back is just magnified to a whole new level. I joined for the opportunity to serve. Charlie told me I was going to love the fellowship, and I've always been pretty much of a loner. But Charlie's right, I really do enjoy the fellowship, but the opportunity to serve is really what keeps me in Rotary and keeps me motivated.
The Rotary shelter was really significant for us because it was our first time that we had worked with the other clubs to try to make something happen on the ground. And honestly, our international projects that have been done over the past 10 or 15 years, each one of them are terrific. Scott Rossi in our club has led the effort to use the grants that are available through Rotary, and when we raised enough money to light a school in Cochabamba, Chile, it was just amazing that could happen, and that we made it happen, and that facility could be used more than 6 or 8 hours a day in the winter.
Everybody, my name is Brian Blum, and I am the past president of the Cary Page Rotary Club. We are celebrating our 25th anniversary this summer. Back in 1989, the Cary Page Club was chartered as the 4th Rotary Club in Cary and the first club to have women members. The club began with 25 members, growing to 48 active members today. The name for Cary Page was derived from the Page Walker Hotel, which is a historic landmark in downtown Cary, and it's where our club first met. Over the past 25 years, we've been one of the most vibrant, active clubs in District 7710, and certainly in Cary, receiving the Presidential Citation for Excellence 24 times. Cary Page has had several members serve at the district level. We've sponsored the Morrisville Rotary Club and the Interact Club at Cary Christian School. Over the course of 25 years, club members have given over $180,000 to the Rotary Foundation. The money has helped to fund projects both locally and globally. This past year alone, we put together a grant for Read and Feed and a $40,000 package for water filters and latrines in Honduras. In addition, we actively participated in the district's global grant project for the Dominican Republic, building and installing water filters and latrines. In 25 years, our club has given close to 200,000 hours of community service performed locally. This past year, our club members participated in projects such as Read and Feed, feeding people at the Ronald McDonald House, actively involved in the Boys and Girls Home and the Summer Enrichment Program, Christmas gifts for families in need at the holidays, food drives, school supplies for new teachers, Special Olympics, taking kids to baseball games, Miracle League Baseball, sending 7 rising seniors to the Rotary Youth Leadership Award, ringing the bell for Salvation Army, and much more. I'm proud to say that after 25 years, the Cary Page Club is thriving. It's a great group of Rotarians who meet Friday mornings at 7 a.m. But if you met with the people that I meet with, you can easily get there by 7 a.m.
It's a Friday morning club, and we have, I think, a lot of energy. We have great fellowship. We've moved around a lot. We've been in a lot of different locations and had some members certainly come and go, but there's certainly a good group of people there. We like to do service projects. One of the things that I think is great too about Cary Page is they've been, I think, very accommodating. When I joined Rotary, I had an infant son, and I've had since then have had another child, and I think that they do try and be inclusive of the families on different occasions. I know I've taken my children with me on many service projects, which I think is great.
John Hatcher, Pastor Governor John Hatcher, is the one who initially invited me, and I just so happened had sold a piece of real estate. I had a rental triplex that he had just sold for me, and I didn't really know John all that much. One of my partners in it knew him, and he called me up and asked me if I'd be interested in coming to a Rotary Club, and I had been invited to the Thursday night Kildare Club, and knew that dinner just wouldn't work very well for me. So when he called me, and he also said he was inviting a good friend of mine to come, Travis Armour, and he's the one that first invited me, and that was Cary Page, and he met me, we were meeting at the Rogers Restaurant in downtown Cary at that time. So when I first showed up, there was 5 of us, I think, at the very first meeting. First women in Rotary in Cary at that point in time. And women have always been a big part of our club because we just started off with women. And I think today we're at about 48, 49 members, and we're probably close to half women in our club at this time. Just a good group of people over the years. Very active club, very social club. We kid and we joke, and we have fun with each other, do a lot of great projects. And the club is really getting involved. We took leadership on going to Dominican Republic. I was district governor in 2012-13, and we initiated a trip down to Dominican. But previously, the club itself had gone to Dominican in 2005 and did a habitat project. 14 members went down there then. Transition from being a member of Cary Page to a Rotarian, I think, was at the point where I realized that I could only do so much myself, but if I leveraged, the assets of Rotary, which are the 1.2 million members in the world, the Rotary Foundation, and the money and everything, then I could do even more things. And I think that's when I made that transition. And I think the leaders that come in, that's also the thing that they realize, is that they can take advantage of this big group. But in the same respect, we recruit people that I don't think necessarily come to us natural leaders, but we give them that opportunity. Because I know in Cary Page, our expectation is that anybody who joins our club, we expect that someday they will be president of the club.
Good morning. I'm Victoria Kelly, the current president of Cary McGregor. We may have been the last club that was chartered in Cary in 1991, but we've come a long way in the years that have passed. I came to the club in 1993. I've never regretted it. It's been a Rotary voyage for me. We have done many service projects. Right now we are working on a project for Dominican Republic. We also work with Camp Confidence, Read and Feed, and many other things. Thank you, Howard. Thank you to everyone that has made Rotary what it is in Cary. Thank you. Rotary, for me, is my second family. It's a great way for me to keep up with all the friends that I've made in Rotary. We have our meetings on Wednesdays, and the thing that keeps me in Rotary is the opportunity to know that I'm doing a little bit of good in the world, one little change at a time.
Like many Rotarians, I joined because it was a business decision. I was asked to join the Cary Page Club, and they met on a Friday morning at 7 o'clock, and I said, no, that just isn't for me. And my boss at the time just had a fit. He said, you can't just pick and choose when you're going to join Rotary. And so when the Cary McGregor invitation came, I went to those charter meetings and joined that club.
I could pick out any upscale neighborhood within Cary or Raleigh and ride through it, and there's an African American family there, which is being treated equally just as everything else, and that to me is a big deal, even within the Rotary itself. That just to see the things Rotary and Rotarian do, it doesn't discriminate. It's a service, and a service above self, and it's for everybody. And to see Rotary and Rotarians put out their talent and effort to say I'm helping people or the disadvantaged community, where majority of the time it is African American or people of minority status, and that's what I think draw me, keep me to Rotary overall. And I could go to any Rotary club and feel like I'm automatically accepted, and we are all one. It's just tremendous, and just to see the excitement. I think Rotary over the years past, I'll say the new initiative that they took 3-4 years ago, it's just exciting to see how Rotary is changing, because I could see at one point a downturn, losing the members, but now it's like it's reviving and it's different. sense where the younger people start gravitating to Rotary. We have gained around 15 new members this year, and
Wonderful.
the average age is probably in the 30s, 40s. So just to be able to say Rotary is alive again, it's more than ever.
And he asked me if I'd have an interest in joining. I had previously been a member of the JCs. I liked doing the civic work, and I had grown up doing civic work with my dad being a Lions member. So I was, interested right off the bat. It's true. Members join for a lot of different reasons. One thing that I found is a lot of people will join because of their business and the business connections, and maybe they want to do a little bit of good, but they stay because of the friendships and the work that we do. You join for business, but you stay for the relationships. I'm excited about it. I'm very pleased, very proud. I know a few years ago I kind of broached the subject, and it was kind of lukewarm response, and this year he brought it up to me and said, I think I really would be interested in coming out. So I was glad when he finally decided to come on out.
Yeah. Well, I've got a family now. I've got 2 kids, and I really wanted to start. I wanted to be a part of something, and I wanted to serve the community, do something like that. That my dad's always doing something, and I wanted to kind of mirror that. I started feeling like there was a void, and I needed to do some sort of service, and I felt like Rotary was a good fit.
One of the first social events I went to in Cary was a Rotary get-together. It was at Ralph and Daphne Ashworth's house, and Dan was invited to join Rotary, and he did so immediately. Back then, the spouses of Rotarians were called Rotarians, and we had certain responsibilities and jobs that we needed to do. One being board members' spouses were expected to prepare dinner at their houses for board members when there was a board meeting. And when the district governor came to town, we got everybody we could get together, all the wives, and we entertained the district governor's wife while the district governor spoke to the Rotarians.
One night, I was very tired from work, and I think I was lying on the sofa, maybe watching TV or resting, and I got a phone call from John Hatcher and said, "How would you like to join Rotary?" And I was surprised. He said they were starting a new club. So I talked to Wythe about it, and I joined the Cary Page Rotary Club. Maybe I was the first one they asked. I don't know exactly how it worked. But I also knew that this was new to Cary, that they had very active Rotarians, but they had not invited women into Rotary at that time. So I was pleased.
Since you've been doing this, a couple people have said to me, "Well, I understand you were one of the first women in Rotary in Cary," and honestly, it never really occurred to me, to be honest with you. Like I said, I didn't know a whole lot about Rotary going in, so I didn't know the background and the history, and that this was something different. I just knew there was only one other woman in the club, but I just assumed that's how it was. So I really didn't think it was anything earth-shattering or anything all that unusual. And really, I would say certainly by far the people in the club, most of them were very welcoming. It wasn't like, we don't want you here.
Sure.
There were a couple, one in particular, that would give me grief from time to time, but it was fine. It was fine.
Cary Page would not be the club that it is if we hadn't had women in it. They're definitely some of our strongest members, and
Sure.
We've had, I don't know the exact number, but we probably had at least 8 or 9 women presidents. At one time we had 3 right in a row on issue. Now, as district governor and visiting other clubs, yeah, you still see those clubs that seem to struggle with that question. And it's hard to figure out exactly why sometimes.
Yeah.
I think as much as anything, they have this group that just enjoys what they have, and it's the whole change thing. It's just resistant to change.
1991, women hadn't been in Rotary that long at that time, but that was what was unique about the Cary McGregor Club is we chartered with 10 or 12 women in the club. So that was, I had been president, had started doing things on the district level, chaired some committees, and RILA was something I did. I was the district treasurer. I was what was an area representative, which is now an assistant district governor. And then I was approached to be district governor, and it was an honor because we hadn't had one. We hadn't had a female district governor in our district. And so I thought, well, I can do that. And that's what I did. But there were a lot of clubs in this district that still didn't have women when I was governor in 2000, 2001. I would go to the official district governor visit, and I would be the only woman in the room, unless they happened to have it be a spouse night, and then they invited, as you called them earlier, their Rotarians. So even by 2000, there weren't that many female Rotarians in this district. I remember the first time I made up a missed Rotary meeting at the Tuesday Rotary Club. And it was when they used to meet upstairs at McGregor Downs. And I remember going up and getting to the turn in the stairs and standing there and saying to myself, I can do this. I can go in and make up in this club that at the time was all men. I know all of them business-wise, so I can do this. And of course, everyone was very gracious, but for a woman at that time to be even making up in the Cary Club was a pretty big deal.
Sure. I told people I was joining Rotary, and they said, "Oh, which club?" And I said, "Well, the Tuesday Club." And meets it. "Oh, the Old Man's Club." And I said, "What?" They said, "Oh, yeah, that's the Old Man's Club." And I said, "Well, I don't know about that." But they said, "Well, just wait, you'll see." And so the first meeting that I went to me, I knew so many people in the room because I'd worked with them, whether it was a chamber or nonprofit boards or things like that, that it was like, I know all these guys. Yeah, they're guys, the majority of them, but I know all these guys, or a lot of them. And so to me, it was very comfortable. And I think people were just kind of teasing me, "Oh, you're a woman. They don't accept women." And I said, "Well, that's changing. That's changing." I was very humbled to be the first female president in a club with its storied history. And when I was asked to take on the leadership role that would eventually go to president, I said, I would be thrilled and I'm very honored. But you've got folks that have been here longer than me, and I know some of them have served and that sort of thing. And I, Bob Hatley assured me that no, he really wanted me to do this. I said, okay. So I did. It was great.
And with that brought diversity. It wasn't easy. It was a Supreme Court decision that brought them into Rotary, but they came. And for 10 years, I don't think ladies were really embraced in Rotary. But that's happening now. It's happening in a big way. We rebuilt my club. I came to the governor's position because we rebuilt an old white men's Rotary Club into a very dynamic, diverse Rotary Club. It's 35% female now. And just like at home, the guys are doing whatever the ladies say, and we're dynamic. We've got it going on.
Good morning. My name is Becca Smith, and I'm the immediate past president for the Cary Kildare Rotary Club. And I will forever be grateful for that 1989 ruling by the Supreme Court that allowed women into Rotary. So
our club membership is probably pretty evenly split along male and female lines. And since I have been in our club, I have been welcomed with open arms. And we have so many women that are in leadership roles in Rotary today that I think it's a great thing.
So I was the Rotary president of our club, and my children, one was an infant when I joined, and my other daughter, I've been in Rotary for her entire life, and like I said, they have participated in multiple different events with me. I just thought it was good for them to see and to learn service at a young age. So when they were now older, when I was elected to be president, And I was just sort of saying, oh, I have to give this speech. I don't know what to say. I don't like giving speeches. You know, I'm not sure what I should say about Rotary. We were driving in the car, actually. And from the back seat, they said, well, why don't you talk about delivering presents to to needy people at Christmas time? And the other one said, well, what about going to Ronald McDonald House? And, what about take a kid to the ball game? And they started just sort of spouting off all of these service projects that we do, or good things that we do, that actually they knew that I did it, but they also had been a part of. I had taken them with me, buying Christmas presents for needy kids, like picking out clothes and wrapping the presents, and then they came with me to a family to deliver them. So, and they've been to Ronald McDonald House, and so it's sort of, it made me realize what impact that had on them, to see those things, participate in those things, and now as they are more grown, see them doing volunteer. It's part of what they just know and do, is that they volunteer and they look for ways to help other people, which is great.
My wife and I took a trip to Phoenix in the 80s. And we left Phoenix and went to a little town in Mexico called Zihuatanejo on the southern coast. And the runway was barely paved, had holes in it, and was not flat. And after a very eventful landing, we got out on the tarmac and it was 100 degrees. She had multiple bags that all weighed 100 pounds apiece. I had a few. I was in a coat and I had my Rotary pin in my lapel. And we got off the plane almost last. We were sitting in the back of the plane. And the customs in Zihuatanejo was to line up and go through a gate outside. They didn't have a covered area. So we were standing there about 5 or 10 minutes behind 100 people. And I had all my luggage and all that, and we were looking at each other like, geez, this is really going to be something. And we both started sweating. And out of the blue, 3 guys in military type shirts walked up to me and looked at me and said, "You Rotario." And I didn't know what he said. I thought, oh my gosh. And he said, "Come with us. You come with us." They picked up all of our luggage, escorted my wife and I around the line, and took us to the bus that was heading for our resort, and put our luggage on and said, "We appreciate what you do." That gave me chill bumps. And I was just a member of Cary Kildare for a year or two. And to see the impact in a foreign country of what Rotary could do and did for me, and I realized that there's a lot of folks that came before me that caused that to happen, and to be in the middle of nowhere and have that happen, my wife and I were both impressed.
I would have to say I was president of the Cary Kildare Rotary Club in 2008, 2009, and in the late winter, early spring of 2009, I was sitting in my office and I received a telephone call from our club webmaster, Andy Wright. And Andy told me he had received an urgent communication from somebody that wanted to talk to the president of the club. So I got the contact information and I called. The woman was from Maine, and her childhood friend had a daughter that was involved in a farming accident in Candor, and she told me that her dad was a former Rotarian and always told her, in a time of crisis, if you need help, call Rotary. And she did a Google search, and out of all the clubs in North Carolina, Cary Kildare came first on her Google list. That's why she contacted us. The girl was injured in a farm in Candor, North Carolina, which is out in the Sandhills. And her injuries were so bad she had to be air evac to the Children's Hospital at Chapel Hill at UNC. And I quickly verified the story through news accounts and by calling the hospital. And I contacted then District Governor Don Buckner, who put me in touch with the Assistant District Governor, Serge Dehoff, from that area of our district. And we had housing set up for the family and bought them linens and food. And Andy and I went to visit the young girl in the hospital, and her injuries were horrific. She was just out of her first surgery when we saw her, and she told Andy and I, "Please take care of my parents, I'm worried." She was more worried about her parents than she was about herself. So you can see she's doing really well. She just finished her second year of college. At the time, she had an idea that she wanted to do mission work for her career calling. And when she was graduating from high school a few years later, she came and spoke to our club, and she told us about the night or the day she had the accident. And somebody asked her, "What were you feeling at that time?" And she said, "I was laying there and I knew my injuries were bad, and I thought, well, this is it. This is how I'm going to die." And a voice said to me, "You're not going to die. I'm not done with you." And she's gone on to do mission work and working with gangs in New York City, trying to get them out of the gang life and off of drugs. She's been to Central America, and she's leaving at the end of this month to go on a mission trip to Israel. So she's doing very well in college, has about a 3.8 grade point average, and we're really proud of her.
When they asked me to be district governor, I said I'll take a day to think about it. So I asked my wife Martha if we could serve. We talked about it at length. She said we could do it together. She went to every official visit I had, as well as many club meetings beside as we celebrated Rotary that year. And I think one of the biggest days of my Rotary life was when my club gave her honorary membership. And she's not here now. But she really appreciated being an honorary Rotarian. I'm sorry. Well, we were married 50 years, so but the last 5 were tough. She was sick the whole time, but she really did appreciate going with me to the club meetings and meeting the Rotarians, and becoming an honorary Rotarian was a big day in her life.
And for me, it was a couple years ago. When I was 17, I went to South Africa and did a mission trip with people that I didn't know. It was kind of a group of people from North Carolina. It was through the North Carolina Baptist Men. Had the opportunity to work in some schools there. Went to one place in a town called Mabopane, which is a very small town in South Africa. Most people have never heard of it. And worked in an orphanage and saw children that had HIV and AIDS, had been abused, neglected, were orphans, and got to work one-on-one with a lot of those kids. Come back, I complete my senior year of high school, go off to college. You know, I still think about Mabopane in that orphanage, but what are the chances I'm ever going to get to go back or, be involved again? So fast forward 10 years, I'm in Rotary, joined Cary Kildare, and our first committee meeting, they divide it into groups, and they'd say pick one you're interested in. So I go to international, and I sit down at the international committee table, and they start talking about projects that are coming up. And lo and behold, they're going to do a project with an orphanage in South Africa, in Mabopane. So for me, that was my Rotary moment of how is this, possible that this is coming full circle for me. That here I am 10 years later as a young adult, and I'm having the opportunity again to work with the same orphanage that most people have never heard of. And it turns out there's a lady in Cary that is very passionate about that orphanage in Mabopane, and she works with Rotary Clubs to get them involved. So for me, that was a true Rotary moment, to see it come full circle.
You get involved in something. And we got involved in something. Leon Abbas and his wife had been doing stuff down in Cochabamba, Bolivia. They'd been with the Peace Corps down there. And they'd kept in contact with people. And they had a project they wanted done. And we formed this project, which was to build a center for kids. There was a woman down there who had a farm. She donated land to these 2 retired nuns. Those 2 nuns went out at night and picked up these kids off the streets who had been abandoned by their parents because the parents couldn't afford to take care of them. And they were just living in dirt and mud. And we went down to go build a facility for them. And that was perhaps the most powerful thing. And my wife and I went down there. We went down to Cochabamba. And we did a couple of things. One, we go to the clinic and we do stuff. They needed somebody who could do teeth sealing. These kids were eating sugar all the time and their teeth were rotten. And they had no idea what it was. And we took down toothbrushes and toothpaste. But I'd never heard of teeth sealing. And we had 2 of our dentists in our club trained me how to go do teeth sealing. And we went down to Cochabamba, and that was going to be my task for this particular time, all right, in addition to working and helping with what we were building out there. And I got the idea, I said, I'm going to leave here again. How about we find some dentists in town, and I'll teach them what they taught me. And we went down and we did teeth sealing, and then we taught their people how to do it. And so now, all we have to do is send down the toothbrushes and toothpaste. That's been going on now since, golly, that was probably back in 2000 or thereabouts when we went down and did it. We raised $5,000 for that project. All right, there were a couple of people in the club who put in some of their own money. So together we probably came up, as our club, we probably came up with about $7,000. We went ahead and got a matching grant. The local Cochabamba club could only afford about $500, but they put up what they could. They put up their $500. By the time we were done, we had $25,000 from that $5,000. And that's what got me to begin to believe in our foundation, got me to believe in what do we mean by Rotary above, service above self and everything. And when I came back, it was all of a sudden Rotary was a little broader than just Cary, North Carolina. And that, I guess, kind of triggered me to go on and do more things with Rotary.
It started actually, I guess, being president of a Rotary Club. One of the benefits of being president of a Rotary Club is you get to meet the presidents from the other Rotary Clubs in Cary and interact with them on a semi-regular basis. And it's interesting once you start to talk to them and get to know them, you realize, well, there's so many things about Rotary I don't know, and so many Rotarians just in Cary I don't know. And how awesome would it be to meet all of them and get to know all of them? So I had been meeting with the group for the 50th anniversary of Rotary in Cary, and we thought, how great would it be to have a project that would allow all the Rotarians in Cary to interact with each other on a regular basis.
When I learned specifically that the Cary clubs were having a 50th anniversary to celebrate 50 years in Rotary, to me, I thought, what a great idea. What could be better than a signature project where specifically the 5 Cary clubs are joining together to make an impact on something in their community. And to have them select Alzheimer's as their signature project, to me was a thrill and helped me understand better that they are really going to make a huge impact on the community with a focus on Alzheimer's through the Memory Cafe.
So at the same time, Matthew Kane was getting ready to be district governor, and he talked to, I can't remember exactly how it came to be, but he was talking with myself and Eleni Christakis and mentioned that he was helping out at the Memory Cafe in North Raleigh and that we should come check it out. That it's really an awesome experience. So we went up there, and it was a remarkable experience to be part of it, and it wasn't what I expected. I guess I thought of a Memory Cafe as we're doing this for people with dementia and Alzheimer's, but in reality we're doing it for the caregivers. The caregivers are the ones who really benefit. The husbands and wives and children of people with dementia, with Alzheimer's, who are slipping away. We're allowing them an evening out with their spouse, with their parent, an evening out with dinner, with music, with dancing, because a lot of times they're stuck at home, and it's a lonely life and a stressful life to watch the ones you love just slip away. So
So that's really how it kind of came to be. And then I went back and kind of sold the idea to the 50th anniversary committee that this would be a great project, something to give back to Cary, that we could keep it going indefinitely. And it would also allow Rotarians from all the clubs to keep interacting with each other, to keep getting together month after month, year after year, so we get to know each other and feel like we're part of one.
Gotta have a huge impact. You know, you stop and think that any one of us at some point in our lives could either be the ones that are going there or could be the caregivers that are taking someone there. So it's going to impact everybody. It doesn't matter your income level, your education level, whether you're a Rotarian or not. It's going to impact a lot of people in the Cary area.
Well, I've gotten to meet and interact on a regular basis with the gentleman who started Rotary in Cary, and I have to say they're amazing men. They've done some great things for Cary, and I thank them from the bottom of my heart for starting Rotary 50 years ago. I think I don't know where the town of Cary would be without them, without their leadership, without their thoughts of putting other people's needs before their own. That service above self, just ingrained in their being. I think they've done so much for us and for our community. I think to get to know them over the past year has been a blessing for me.